voice of Fayetteville High Bulldogs Athletics. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel that's on the Hill Media. Make sure you hit the bell for all notifications. As we say, let's get it. Yeah, we'll be down there Friday. I think we're leaving around 1.
Perfect.
Get down there. They can get down. Welcome here live. We're at the SWAC. It's the KC Dix Show. Quarterfinal week this week as the Fayetteville Bulldogs travel to defending state champion Bryant Hornets take on the number 1 team in the state. And I'm joined now on the show by the man that's going to be under a lot of pressure. Eyes will be on this young man all night on Friday. Junior quarterback Hank Hendricks. What's up, my man?
How's it going?
Junior year, Hank. When you look back on your junior year, I mean, what do you feel good about, and what are some of the things that you're going to continue to feel that you have to work on?
Yeah, overall, I think the season has had its ups and downs, but we've learned a lot, and I think just from a team aspect, we've learned how to deal with adversity, persevere, and obviously kind of like we talked before this, just on really how to come together and have a player-led team and have some leaders, and overall, just you can see how our play has, I think, gotten better. Since we made kind of some changes. But,
right.
I think for me, just as a quarterback and, not just, I guess, the guy that has to make all the decisions is just obviously playing simple football, just, getting people the ball in space, letting them do their thing because we've got some dudes that are really talented. And I think we've shown that when we're playing good, we're playing fast, and we're playing fast and consistent. And then, just getting people the ball because they'll make some plays.
At what point, Hank, do you feel this team kind of start to show their identity? Because I always thought in the first three or so games, really not the identity, but at some point, and to me, probably the second half of that Rogers game, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think that Rogers game was pretty big for us, obviously. It was an unfortunate loss. But, I think that week we lost to Bentonville West before that game. So, really, that's kind of when we came together and decided, that isn't us, and we're going to start trying to change some things. And, I think we played much better that game. Our energy was there. I think as an offensive standpoint, we put up at least somewhere in the 50s. But, I think we were fast. We were playing fast, and then obviously we just kind of had a good feel of what they were going to do so we could probably respond with our stuff. But, I think that game was big for us. And then overall, I think just growing every week and obviously having another setback later in the season, put a real kind of perspective on the season of, if things are going to battle and we gotta respond and we gotta start winning some games to make this playoff run. So really since that we've been clicking. I think practice has really stepped up. I think that's been our main thing is because we've been able to sync to our practice levels in some of those close games and it really hasn't gone well just because I think we've been lackadaisical, but we've really fixed that. We've done a great job doing that, and so I think over these past couple weeks as from the offense we've done a lot of good things. We kind of stuck with our base, and I've played fast and played together, and I think it's been pretty good.
From your perspective, what's it like being the son of a high school football coach? I mean, those conversations, being able to go home with a dad that understands at the highest level. How much do you draw from that, when you're out on the field on Fridays?
A lot. And, for me, that started I can't even remember just because I'm always been around practice, and I've always, been up at the facilities watching practice in the indoors, messing around. But, obviously having him has been huge just because, that's another just person that knows football and knows, the game and knows, the ins and outs and helping you, obviously, from the X and O's, but also as a team because he's been a head coach.
Right.
And, for me, the biggest thing, honestly, is I have 2 older brothers who both played and both play in college now. And, just seeing how they've prepared and how, they've been on some winning teams and how, kind of the success and the behind-the-scenes stuff have they done that I kind of try to translate into here and more just coming together. And so, having those two, and then obviously my dad has been huge just because it's just football family, and so I can talk to anyone about it, and I'll probably get a good answer.
Differences between Arkansas high school football, Texas high school football. In your opinion, what are some of the similarities and then, secondly, some of the differences?
Some similarities, I think. at least here at Fayetteville, we got a good community. I see that in the homecoming parade. We did that down in Texas because we're obviously a smaller town. So, those things are similar. Have a great community, great fans, and really just, I guess the difference is is not a little faster, but I think it's just a new kind of whole dynamic of football. I feel like I've been introduced to just because in Texas, obviously, those have been my boys and my friends since third grade, and so obviously I've had a great connection with them. But coming here, building new connections, figuring out how to come in and try to win over a locker room, and try to allow people to trust me and get to know them. And so it's been huge for me. But I guess that's probably the biggest difference is I'm out of my comfort zone, and so that's been huge.
In comes Todd Barber, the strength and conditioning coach, in his first year. How have you seen Coach Barber, impact this football team to this point?
No, yeah, we love Coach Barber. We always joke and just say 2 times. That's his biggest thing. But yeah, him coming in the summer. I mean, I think that's just kind of elevated, our standard, and I think he's done a great job of, not letting you slack off at all. I mean, he's there every step of the way. He's encouraging, and he does it the right way. He's hard on us, but like I said, he does it the right way. And yeah, I mean, he kind of just really has just been a whole kind of honestly new sense of a kind of leadership in here, just encouraging us, and he's straight to it and he's strict, and I think that's what we need. And so yeah, whenever we get in there Sunday, whether it was a bad loss or a great win, I mean, he's telling us straight, saying that's in the past. You either got to fix some things, or you obviously got to fix some things, but just reset, have a great week, and go prepare your body for Friday.
Talk about the skill position. You just recently mentioned it's the guys that you get to throw to, like the Taylors, the Whitlows, the Johnsons, those guys, Jaden.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're in the backfield, stud running back, the Johnson number 2. I mean, just talk about having so much and an offensive line with a lot of experience around you. How beneficial is that, you think?
Oh, it's been great. Like I said earlier, it's just when I kind of came here, obviously trying to get those guys to trust me, just so because I saw the vision, just I guess watching their games from last year. Just these dudes can run, these dudes can play for sure, and so yeah, just getting them to trust me, and then overall, just they're great guys, and so coming here, they're welcomed me with open arms. Kind of allowed me to be myself around them, but yeah, throwing to them makes my job a lot easier, and so I think you've seen it. Obviously, kind of a big part of our game is off the run game, these quick screens, getting the ball out in space, kind of like I said. And, when we can get the ball out and you get 4 to 5 yards, I mean, that's easy pickings. And so that's what we try to do.
Having a head coach such as Coach Dick, guys played SEC football, probably was quarterback of what many say is the best running back to ever play here, Darren McFadden. I mean, being able to draw from Coach Dick, how special is that?
No, it's been huge. And, that was a big reason why I came here, is just to learn under him. And obviously Coach V's done a great job helping me too, but yeah, it's been huge just because I'm in his office almost all the time, especially when I moved here, trying to learn the playbook and everything. So our relationship has been special. I'm very thankful for it, and obviously learned a lot from him, and we'll obviously keep going.
Watching this Bryant Hornet defense, Hank, what do you guys see on film, or what do you see on film in particular that'll give you guys a chance to go on the road and pull off a very important victory to maybe hopefully advance to the state semifinals?
Yeah, obviously, one thing is they're a really good team, and I think everyone knows that. And, just watching on film, I think hopefully, we can get into, situations where, like I said, our guys can make plays. They've done a great job of obviously, playing their base and, kind of getting up in your face and trusting their dudes to make their plays. But I think we can really test them and, get guys in space, get some good splits, and I think go to work. And so it should be a fun game. Hopefully we can show up, make some plays, and it'll be interesting.
What does Hank Hendricks do when he's not playing football?
Not playing football. I'm probably watching football. But I love my family, so I got a brother that goes here. So anytime he's off from practice or something, try to get food with him. But yeah, I'm just around football. Probably watch a few shows. Do some schoolwork every now and then.
Well, just look in the camera. Thanks for taking time out. But let everybody know who can't make the trip to Bryan, Arkansas tomorrow night for the 7 p.m. kickoff. If they're going to stream it, why they should, get some popcorn, maybe a beer or two, and enjoy some high school football.
Oh, for sure. No, it's going to be some fireworks, and I think you definitely want to watch this one. Try to see a big win for the Fayetteville Bulldogs, and it should be interesting.
Well, hey, you heard it from my guy. We're going to be back with the main man to hear it from him as well. You're watching the Casey Dick Show live on the Hill Media TV. Hey guys, this is Pat Jenkins of On the Hill Media and voice of Fayetteville High Bulldogs Athletics. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel that's On the Hill Media. Make sure you hit the bell for all notifications. As we say, let's get it. Here live at the SWAC. It's the Casey Dick Show. And I'm live with Coach. Today's show is brought to you by the Grease Pig Lube and Tune, University Auto Tire, and Lindsay and Associates. Coach, big win last Friday night, and an even bigger one this Friday. First, review what you felt good about in the last game.
I think there's a lot to feel good about the last game. Obviously, our kids understand and know that this time of year it's not, what you did the last game. It's obviously you got to forget that game and continue to go to the next one. But I was super proud of, really all of them. I thought as a team we probably played our one of our best games of the year, which is right where we want to be. I felt like our defense obviously got a lot of turnovers, 3 turnovers, and I think we should have had 4. Had a couple sacks, and what the fun part about that thing was is we were able to capitalize on the turnovers and get points, against a team that's really, really aggressive in all phases. We recovered the onside kicks, made them punt, and do some things that they hadn't traditionally done throughout the year. So was super proud of those guys, how our offense went out, competed, made plays, answered every time we got the ball. I think other than that first drive, but was just really proud and happy for, the duration of the game with how they played and the urgency that they played with, and then obviously how well they executed.
Was that practice earlier this week? You made a comment I really agreed with, is the defensive line. I thought, with that being the position of so much youth and inexperience, Friday night to me, I thought that was their best game, and they've been trending that way over the last couple of weeks. I mean, speak on just the maturation of that side of the ball.
Yeah, it's anytime you're young, you don't, not that they didn't have an understanding, but the longer that you do something, you're going to continue to get better at it, and that's just that group right now. And I think the other one you throw in there is C.J. Bailey. You watch him from the beginning of the year, and he made the comment earlier in the year or about last week. He said, "Coach, I'm really, kind of disappointed the season's almost over." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because it's really just kind of coming together for me. I feel like right now. So it takes time, and nobody likes that. But when you got youth playing that hasn't had a whole bunch of things thrown at them before, and they're having to understand a lot of different things, you see growth, which is what we want to see." And I told CJ, I said, I do, man. I said, I hate it for you because I really think you're coming on and you're understanding what you're doing. But, I said, the biggest thing that you're understanding is why you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, which is when you see the next step. And I think that whole group's been playing solid football from the D-line, and really some of those young guys. It's just we've been seeing steady growth and maturity in those guys, which is what you want to see. Starting
to see a lot more here, a lot of those names, Taylor, Johnston, Whitlow, Nicholson, and even out of the backfield, another Johnson. The passing game, and it basically goes back to that second half of that Rogers game early in the year, Coach. You guys have been a totally different offense. Speak on that.
It's just – they've really bought into being unselfish. I don't know that I've been around a group that, really didn't care who got credit for everything that took place. So super proud of those guys. We got Kenyon and Katavian who are over 1,000 yards. You got Charles, who's right at 800, and you got Nicholson, who's at 500 or 600. So, there's a lot of those guys that are doing really good work. And like I told them, I said, guys, this game's funny. That one week it'll be Katavian, the next week it'll be Kenyon, and then one week it'll be Charles, and then it'll be Charles again, and then it'll be Caleb, and then it'll be so. They've really bought into. You don't really understand or know what's going to happen when you go out there. The game just kind of goes to them, and that's what happens. And they've really bought into being unselfish, and I think it's showing. When you turn on the video and you watch, they're blocking, they're running great routes, but they're doing great things after the catch, and then they're also celebrating with their teammates when great things happen, which is what you want to see. And so they, like I said, they've come a long way and really understand and really have bought in, and that's another group that's grown, as the season's went on as well.
When you look on the offensive side for this Bryant Hornet team, I know TJ, great running back, but what are some of the things you guys are going to have to take away from a defensive standpoint Friday night?
Yeah, we're going to be sure tacklers. I think when you watch, obviously, their running backs, they do a great job of breaking tackles and making big plays. And then they have some explosive receivers who can go do some freakish things as well.
Right.
So we'll have to make sure that, obviously, we get our drops in the secondary. We're able to make plays on the ball. But I would say, secondly, kind of know their tendencies based on down and distance and what they give you formationally, which they've done a great job of really studying and putting really 3 days of work back to back to back. And I thought it's been probably our cleanest 3 days of practice throughout the year. So not saying it's going to obviously go out there and we're going to translate and hold them to nothing, but
right.
They have a good understanding of what we're asking them to do is what I'm saying. So they're doing a great job with that. And they're an explosive offense. I think you watch them and they do a good job with their pin and pull schemes and what they're looking at and what they're looking for. So we'll have to play assignment football, sound football, and then I think the biggest thing for us will be, we've got to limit the big plays and be sure tacklers.
Now, for the offense versus their defense, they've got some pretty good corners, very experienced defensive side of the ball. What are you guys going to look forward to taking advantage of?
Yeah, they got a couple kids going to OU, 2 kids going to OU, one going to Ole Miss, another one. Pretty much everybody on their defense is going somewhere to play college football. So they're a good defensive squad. Understand what their responsibilities are, right, as far as whether they're playing zone or they're playing man, and they're pretty fast. They do a good job. So, I think our guys have done a really good job all week of understanding space and alignment, which is going to be big when you play teams like this, and then understanding if you're supposed to release inside or outside and why you're supposed to release inside or outside is going to be crucial. And then when you have the opportunity to make a play, obviously from the flip side of defense, you've got to go make that play. And so they understand that, and it's not going to be every single time. It's we had the talk too. The last play doesn't care about the next play.
Right.
You got to be able to flush it, whether it's good, bad, ugly, and different. And just continue to play because this game's going to be I hope it's going to be a great game, and we're going to go out there and execute well. And whether it's good or bad, you got to flush it, move on to the next one, and continue just to drive and not worry about how much time's left on the clock or what situation it is. Just go play good football.
2 questions left, Coach. Not being able to have that off week, how beneficial do you think that's been for this football team to still be playing and not have that off week?
I said it 3 weeks ago. I thought it was the biggest key for us. I know we want to win and we want to get it all. We want to be a higher seed, but I thought it was crucial for us to not have it.
Right.
I just, people don't understand that when you're not in the shoes every day of us and you're really playing and your team's coming together. You don't want to break up the routine, the mentality, and all that stuff. And I thought it was the best thing for our team to not do that, just to not break up the routine. And guys, later on, it's just like every adult in a business or whatever. You get used to routine and doing stuff. You don't want to break it up because then it just kind of breaks you out of that rhythm. But I thought they had responded well, practiced well, played well, obviously. And I obviously hope that will carry over this week too.
Well, Coach, look in there in that camera and tell them if they can't make it down, why they should tune in to On the Hill or any other stream that may be carrying the Dogs and the Hornets on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely, be a great game. Against two high-powered teams, I think, that do a great job of coaching their kids and putting a product out there on the field that everybody can be proud of. And obviously, Bryant's a great football team, had great history and tradition down there, obviously, with everything that they've been able to accomplish, and we've got some here too. So we're excited about the matchup, excited for our kids to go play down there and go play well for sure.
You heard it, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. The only 2 teams, I'm going to repeat it, the only 2 programs to win the state title here over the last 7 or 8 years. They'll be meeting at 7 p.m. tomorrow night at Bryant Stadium. Hey, tune in, 6:30, the pregame show from my producer, Demetrius Johnson, and myself, and Coach Dick. Today's show was brought to you by the Grease Pig Lube and Tune. University Auto and Tire, and Lindsay and Associates. And my last words, Coach, I'm going to let you do it.
Let's get it.
You've been watching the Casey Dick Show live on the Hill